All right, welcome. Hello, good morning. We are in the third session for the Together We Rise training for June. And so just Linda and I on so far, but we're going to go ahead and get started talking about host coaching and why it's important. Talk a little bit about, your mindset behind host coaching, asking your host 5 times and why that is important. But I guess right off the bat, I just want to talk a little bit about booking and recruiting from last session. Did you have any success, Linda, doing some of those tips from last week? How is your week going?
My week has been going pretty good. I have a party that one of the hosts is carried over to this week because she couldn't be very active last week and that. So I'm trying to help them all get their goal of reaching $650 in sales so they can get the air fryer because that's what they're wanting.
Awesome. And those double rewards too, right? Holy crap.
Yes, double rewards too.
That is the best. June is like my favorite month, double rewards month. And I'm sure there are plenty of others who will say that as well. Awesome. That's super exciting. And did you, by chance, what did you think about reaching out to the 10 contacts every day to fill your calendar?
I don't know if I've hit 10 every day just because of me and my work schedule this week has been busy, end of the school year things. So since I'm officially on summer vacation, I'm going to reach out more to those 10 contacts and trying to get some parties booked because I don't have anything else after this weekend and parties on the book. So
Gotcha. And I'll tell you what, the 10 contacts a day is something that I struggled with before I promoted. And then, once I did start doing that, it made a huge difference in my business. I'm actually up to doing 30 a day. So I try to send 30 booking messages. If it's not strictly booking messages, maybe it's recruiting messages. But I try to kind of separate that out, have a certain number that I send for bookings, a certain number that I send for recruitings. And then I also try to make contacts during the day. So adding people in parties, things like that, just to kind of help, always growing my friends, I guess, in Facebook, so that I'm getting in front of more people when I'm posting and stuff as well. But it's definitely a great habit to get into. I feel like once you're doing those 10 bookings a day or 10 contacts a day for bookings and stuff, your calendar will just fill up so quickly.
okay.
I love it. Okie dokie. And I guess just as long as it's me and you on here, how are you tracking your contacts, Linda?
I'm just tracking them in a notebook right now, or like on Messenger or text messaging who I've reached out to, just because I need to get more organized. And that's my thing I'm going to work on now since I'm going to have more time. Excuse me. So like getting a spreadsheet, I just need to get everything converted over and who I contacted when and that. So
Definitely. So I know that's how I did mine at first, was just in a notebook. That's a really great way to just, kind of start tracking your contacts. As I got more and more people, as I was having more parties, especially with the block parties, this has really helped. I created a spreadsheet and just kind of tracked people that way. But I also still will write people physically in my calendar. So I have a big planner and I have little sheets that I can insert with notes on them. And so there's this one sheet that I take every time I turn a page, and it comes with me and it sits at the front of my calendar, and it just has all of the names of my potential leads on there. And so every once in a while, I'll go back, or maybe I'll start a new list, and then I'll kind of flip through my calendar after it's been a while, and I'll be like, oh, I haven't reached out to this person in a month because they're kind of further back in my calendar. But my system can kind of vary. I do like spreadsheets, and I'm kind of in that transition mode where I'm like, I'm not so busy that I can't put everyone on a piece of paper, but I'm getting to the point where it's getting there. I have a lot of people that I'm trying to track, and it's getting difficult to do on paper. So my advice would be, as you're growing, to start to transition to maybe an online, like in Google Sheets or Excel or something like that. If you're finding yourself a little bit overwhelmed with the paper, like I have been. But yeah, anywho, so today we are going to talk again just a little bit about house coaching. And I guess what I really want to do is get started talking about mindset here and kind of your beliefs. So I'm going to slide on over to the next slide here. So what do you believe, right? And I absolutely love this picture. This is a picture that Pampered Chef gives us. And, just your beliefs reinforce your actions that produce your results. And then your results reinforce your beliefs, your beliefs create your actions, and your actions create your results, and then your results reinforce your beliefs. So I've always thought this was a really cool concept. It's not something that I heard right away when I started my Pampered Chef business. It's something that I got kind of a little bit later, but it's just the way of looking at, the power of belief and the power of your own mindset, and asking yourself, taking a moment to internally reflect, like, what do you believe about your business? What do you believe as far as if you're getting bookings, as far as people joining your team, as far as your ability to grow, right? Like, these are all some things that we might have already some beliefs about. And, just kind of changing those beliefs to be ones that are productive and positive. So do you believe that you have the skills to succeed in reaching your booking and recruiting goals? What's your answer to that question? Do you believe that you can promote to director in 30 to 90 days if you're one of your goals is for the fast track? Do you believe that you can reach that goal? And do you believe that you can be a strong leader for your team if that is your goal? So I have on this sheet here, I'm just going to skip to the next one. Or actually, let's take the time to do this activity. I know that there's it's only just me and you, Linda, but let's do you have a pen and paper with you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, what do you believe as far as these? And be honest, like, and we can share, maybe we'll take a moment of sharing since it's just you and I. So do you believe that you can build your skills and succeed in reaching your booking and recruiting goals?
Yeah, I do. I would say probably I'm in the middle, maybe at 5 or 6. It's just to, if my struggle has been I haven't had enough time to watch all the videos and do everything to understand the Pampered Chef and know the different products. So now when somebody's asking me something, I'll be like, oh, wait a moment, and I'm checking it out. Or, so once I start remembering, about the different stoneware and how what you can use it in the oven and that, or if you can put it on a grill, where the cast iron stuff you can, but the stoneware you can't. So once I get that, knowing the different information about the products, I'm sure my confidence will build up higher.
Definitely. And I would say that is something that 100% comes with just working your business, right? Doing parties, talking with customers, using your products as well. And so one thing that I always tell my team too, don't feel like you have to know everything all at once. If you're moving through Dash, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating because there are so many trainings. There's so much to learn. I don't even have Dash completed. There's still plenty of sections that like I haven't even touched yet that I probably should have touched. But I guess I've started just getting used to the idea that like it'll kind of come, like practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
better than, you know, watching a video. And I've found some feedback too, not to say that Dash isn't a great resource, because it is, and I use it all the time. But what I found is just doing those parties and keeping it moving along is going to really strengthen your confidence more than anything. And kudos to you for doing a block party. I know that you just kind of signed up here recently in May, but
Yeah.
that's super exciting. So I would even say, you know, even as a leader, like my beliefs fluctuate too. So right now, my personal belief in, you know, building my skills and succeeding and reaching my booking and recruiting goals is probably at about like a 5 or 6. And I need to, you know, slap myself in the face and go, Bailey, like, come on, you know that you can get those parties, you know that you can hit your recruiting goals. Like, and that's just something, it's a limiting belief that I've had, because I have put myself into a place where, oh, I'm too busy, or like, I didn't have enough time today to do it. Or, you know, I fell short of making my 30 contacts that I try to make every day. And guess what? It came back to bite me in the butt. I'm not hitting my goals. And so that is all on me. And that is
Mm-hmm.
all my belief. And so I have to kind of own that. But if I kind of, you know, if I flip it, if I say, I mean, even today, if I go, hey, I'm going to slay this day, like I'm going to hit my booking goals. I'm going to book 5 parties today. I'm going to recruit somebody today. I bet I can do it, because that's, you know, that's the power of that belief, which I absolutely love. And then, you know, ask yourself these questions too. Do you believe that you can promote to director in 30 to 90 days? Do you believe that you can be a strong leader for your team? Think about those things. We won't share them right now, but just be thinking about them as we're moving through this, and how maybe you need to adjust that belief. If you do, maybe it's perfect. I don't know. Maybe you have the right mindset with that. But here's like just kind of an example. If you're finding yourself in a negative belief, having a little bit of a negative mindset, you could be saying something like, people are so busy that they don't have time to add another commitment to their life, like a Pampered Chef business. And that belief might have come from a previous result, right? That might have come from somebody telling you that they don't have time, somebody saying that there's too much on their plate. And so, and you know, when you have this belief, maybe you're not asking your host 5 times. Maybe you don't ask all the party guests. I know that asking is something that I do in my full service checkout. I'm not sure if that's something that you're doing, Linda, but it really helps as well. But you know, if you're not doing those things, then you're not recruiting on a consistent basis, and you might be missing out on somebody who maybe could really use this opportunity. And then who knows, I mean, like the worst feeling is when you go on Facebook and you see that somebody has signed up under somebody else. I know that's happened to me. I've gone, oh my gosh, you signed up with Pampered Chef, and I just saw you like a couple months ago at an event and we were talking about it, but I didn't actually come out and ask her. And
Uh-huh.
if I was being a chicken, and I mean, maybe even arguably being selfish, because we live in the same town and I want to be the Pampered Chef lady in town. But in reality, like with the expansion of being able to do everything online and the virtual business, like it doesn't matter if there's 20,000 Pampered Chef consultants in my town. It doesn't matter if everybody is a Pampered Chef consultant, because we can be reaching out to different groups. And so I had to get over that fear, and I had to learn the hard way. But an example of maybe what that can look like, if you take those beliefs and reframe them, you can think to yourself, you know, Pampered Chef is an amazing opportunity for anyone. Doesn't matter who they are. Lots of people need more income, and they'll find time for what's important to them. And so just remembering that, you know, even though like you are in this program and you have set these big goals for yourself, maybe if somebody is not as excited about Pampered Chef, but maybe they're thinking about joining, that belief for them could change. Like maybe they're like, oh, I just want to do a couple parties. You know, eventually that could change. Maybe some of you who are watching the recording right now are, you know, watching this, going through this training for the 2nd time, the 3rd time. I know I did it probably 5, 6 times before I promoted to director. And you know, just realizing that it really is an opportunity for anyone. It can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be the biggest and the best. You know, we want that for ourselves, right? Because that's why we're here in this training. But maybe somebody just wants enough to cover the bills, and knowing that that's okay and everybody's story is different has also really helped me in my business as well. And so when you change your belief to something more positive like that, you might start asking your host more. And I mean more, I mean 5 times. So asking, you know, the 5 times, asking every party guest if you do that, whether you do that in a way where, you know, sometimes you'll find those rock star guests. Sometimes you'll have people who are just, what's that? Hello? Ooh, did I freeze? Oh gosh. Did I freeze? Okay, hopefully I'm still,
Bailey.
yeah?
At the bit.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you froze.
Okay,
There you are.
yeah. All right, I don't know what happened there. I'm hoping that we didn't lose the recording. But anywho, I'm just gonna get back into it. All right, so we were just talking about belief system and, you know, having a belief and then changing that belief to be something a little bit more positive. And so when I say having a belief, I mean having a limiting belief, one that, you know, when you're thinking that, that power of belief is resonating in your mind and kind of projecting onto your business and helping you to, or I should say not really helping you at all. And then, you know, changing that belief to be something more positive, you know, so going from, for example, like people are too busy to join Pampered Chef to now believing Pampered Chef is an amazing opportunity for anyone. And that belief will turn into a more positive action where you're asking your host 5 times, you're asking your party guests, whether it's, you know, everybody in the party, which we should be doing, your rockstar party guests, your future hosts, the people who have booked parties, et cetera, and then posting about the opportunity in virtual parties, maybe even talking about the opportunity live. So I have seen a change in my business when I started going live in my parties and just throwing in a little blurb about the business. It could be a personal blurb. It could be just like, oh, did you know, like this is this new consultant sign-on special this month? Or maybe it's, did you know that you can get this really conveniently here in my hand when you move through the fast track reward system as a new consultant? So that's just, you know, maybe one example. And then your result will be that you will have recruits on your team. You will start building a team for yourself because you're recruiting consistently and you're achieving the 4-in-1 cycles that we have at Pampered Chef. And so what the 4-in-1 cycle is, if you're not familiar with it, is every 4 parties, you want to be striving to add at least 1 more team member to your team. And so, you know, that's a block party. So every block party, who are you inviting to the business? Who's signing up? Is your host using a kit credit, or did you maybe find a rockstar guest, or both? You know, maybe your host signed up and then had a friend, you know, who wanted to sign up under them too. And then they start out with a raise right away, which is really exciting. So, all right. And so another thing that I really love to do is have my hosts do the work. And so this is just, you know, kind of a booking challenge for us here. Let me see. And what I do is I reward my hosts for helping me book parties. So you can kind of see our little graphic here. Oops. I'll send them the one on the left, want more free PC. help me book 3 parties. And then I put on the bottom there too, earn a free gift from me and any item in the catalog for 50% off at your friends' parties, just so they know what's on the table for them. And sometimes this is a little bit more fun than, just outright asking them. I try to use graphics whenever I can, just because sometimes it's easier on the eyes too. And hosts will look at those usually before they'll look at a big paragraph full of text. And so why do I offer them this? Because, look at this graphic here on the right-hand side. I made this just to show you have 1 party times 3 bookings. You're going to get 3 parties from that, and then 3 parties, like it just multiplies. And having that visual makes you go, oh my gosh, like that makes so much sense. Look at what happens when I just do the 1 party and then those next 3 parties and, kind of keep that cycle going. And after you move through those 4 cycles, your bookings will be crazy. And, sometimes you'll have those cancellations or the people moving, people say no. Sometimes, you'll strive for 3 bookings, maybe you'll only get 1 or 2, but hey, that's a win because you're replacing the party and maybe doubling the party. But this is something that I do in my parties, and I'm booking out as far as January of 2021 right now. That's not to say that my calendar is as full as I want it to be, because I always want it to be more full. But, but, being able to have that conversation and let the host know that, like, hey, we can party later on. Like, after they say they want to throw a party, if they're saying that the time isn't working for them, we can party later on when works for you. And having that, genuine conversation, making it about them and removing that other limiting belief that, like, every party has to be right now. Those parties you can book for later, and then those other ones will fill in the gaps. You just keep asking, keep doing your 10 messages a day, and that will help tremendously. And I can post this for you as well.
That's a great idea, Bailey. I hadn't thought about that. And that graphic on the left, if you want more PC and having your hostess help you out with that. I will have to try that with my parties.
Definitely. And like, I even will say, send a message to 10 friends and, just say something like, hi, thanks so much for joining my party. I think you'd be a great candidate for hosting. Like, have you ever thought about hosting a Pampered Chef party? And kind of sending that to your host, and then having them share that with their friends. What I found is you can send your host like a fun message. I've been trying to remove some of like what I call the fluff from my host coaching, and some of the fluff from what I have my host put on the party and send to friends and stuff like that. Because the truth is, people don't want to read a paragraph, even if it's from their friend. They want to read something that's quick and easy. And, maybe they'll have a phone conversation. If you have a brave host, maybe they'll call up their friend or their sister or their cousin or something. Maybe they're going to be seeing them and they can bring it up that way. But people don't want to read a paragraph, even if it sounds really good to you, even if it's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Did you know this, that, and the other thing? And you're kind of, what it starts to feel like, even if you just say one sentence about Pampered Chef, what it starts to feel like is that you're kind of puking Pampered Chef on them. And if it's coming from you or if it's coming from somebody else. So I'm trying to keep like all my messages short and sweet when I'm host coaching. I'm trying to send graphics when I can instead of, the big paragraphs and things like that. And I guess what I can do is take you through my host coaching document. Actually, we're going to do that in another slide, I think. But kind of banking off of the belief system, another thing that's really awesome for getting bookings is affirmations. And this is also great for recruits too. And just, telling yourself this stuff, like, I know when I was interviewing for jobs, I used to stand in front of the mirror and do the Superman pose and just kind of like really awesome things about myself. Like, you're like a badass, like you're going to kill this interview. Like, you're going to rock it. And I am not kidding, you guys. For those of you watching this recording too, like, it works. It works wonders to be able to, just stand there, or even just say to yourself, like, I am a director. I'm booking 5 parties a week. I'm offering the business to every host 5 times. I am a strong recruiter. One thing I love is, like, everybody wants to join my team. Like, everybody wants to be a pampered foodie. That's the name of my team. Everybody wants to be a part of our team. Our team is so fun, and I have the confidence, like I've said to myself, I have the confidence to get this done. Even something as small as waking up in the morning and going, I'm going to have a great day. That's something that I did this morning. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, and I looked in the mirror and I gave myself the old 1, 2, 3, and I went, you're going to have a good day today. And that's what's happening. I'm having a great day. Just slapping that smile on your face and knowing that you have the power to change your mindset. But anyways, I did want to share too, my host coaching document. And I just have this little blurb on here too. When you're asking, making sure that you're asking with intention. You're asking your host 5 times. And the reason that we do that is because we want to be sure that they're getting the, how do I want to say this? We want to be sure that we're asking them in different ways, so that we're, touching on different topics. And I'll kind of go through that in the host coaching document. But just making sure that they understand, I guess, all of the possibilities that could be available to them, and not making it about us, right? So I have, ask with intention down here. Do you want to join my team versus what can Pampered Chef do for you? When we're asking our hosts, like, and we just say, do you want to join my team? Or like, do you want to join Pampered Chef? Or you should join Pampered Chef. It starts to feel not only like a little bit pushy, but it's kind of about like me as their Pampered Chef consultant, as their director, as their recruiter. When in reality, like, we want it to be about them. We want to say, what can Pampered Chef do for you? And so when I say ask with intention, I want to challenge you to, really think about, like, who are your hosts right now? And maybe this is something that you want to write down, write down the names of your hosts, and just take some time today to reflect on the conversations that you've had with your hosts. Maybe you do what I do and you call your hosts. So I always set up a call and chat with them a little bit, get to know them a little bit, and let them know how the party's going to go. And just, taking that time to reflect and think, what do I know about my host, and why would they be a good fit for Pampered Chef? And not only why would they be a good fit for Pampered Chef, but what is something that maybe they've shared with you that you could use to say, like, hey, this might be a good option for you because, it'll help you fill your summer. If you have a teacher, like, it'll help you fill your summer with, something extra. You can make some money. If maybe they've told you that they were having a hard time social distancing, or maybe they still have to social distance because of a health concern and they're bored and they're a social butterfly, would you want to try Pampered Chef maybe to get some of that socialization in? Are you having fun with this party? Do you think it's something that you would want to do? And so that's what I really want to do, before we move on to the host coaching document, is just challenge you guys. Think about your hosts. Think about them as individuals. Think about them as people that could potentially get something out of this business just like you are. And, asking with intention and making it about them, and offering the opportunity and offering it, from your heart, and with genuine kindness and concern for them, and not just being like, oh, I want to build my team. I mean, obviously that's something that we want, but making it about them can be a game changer, definitely. So I'm just gonna take you guys quickly through the host coaching document that I use before we wrap up here. So there are a few different host coaching documents out there, and you can definitely use whatever one you want. What I tend to do is modify the host coaching documents to fit my style and what I like, and just to kind of sound like me, because what I found is if you're not using a document that is, genuinely sounds like you, if you're not kind of mixing it up a little bit to sound like Bailey or to sound like Linda, then your hosts are going to notice that, because a lot of the people that we do parties for, especially in the beginning, know us, right? They're friends of us, they're maybe family members, and so they'll be able to tell if it's scripted. And so I like to make sure that a lot of my stuff there has to be, I guess, some sense of a skeleton so that you're hitting the right points, but I want it to feel as least scripted, I guess you could say, as possible. And so here's just kind of how most host coaching documents work. So I love that this one in particular has an outline, and I've modified it to kind of fit, what I have in here. And I have it kind of changing. I'm actually updating the contents of my host coaching document right now. So I have, some empty spaces here. But, pre-party work, and then, it'll have what you do during the pre-party days. So it'll go through and tell you, make sure you're sending your host packet 2 weeks prior, begin your host coaching 10 days or a week before you want to close the party, just because there are some things that, before the party starts, we want to make sure the host is inviting guests, things like that, etc. And then, 5 days pre-party, phone call with host, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. And the host coaching document will kind of lay that all out for you. I added a checklist. So when I'm doing my pre-party, there's, send a host packet with what's in it. And so this is helpful too, especially if you're just starting out. I know my team is fairly green, and so a lot of them have asked me, what do you put in your host packet? So I thought, maybe a checklist would be helpful. So I kind of threw that in there, and just being able to go through and check that's in there, that's in there, that's in there. Some things that I put in my host packets that other people may or may not, everybody's host packet is different, and you're going to find something that works for you. You're going to find something that you like to do. Sometimes simpler is better. Sometimes people like to make it a little bit more complex. I found that it's really nice to throw in a couple order forms for those outside orders. An intro letter I love to include, just and that's something that I have that's a little bit personal, and I just kind of introduce myself and say, hey, like, I'm so excited that you booked a party with me. And I do my first ask in the intro letter. So I put in there actually twice, once at the beginning of the letter and once at the bottom of the letter, hey, like, you would be great at this business because you already love Pampered Chef. You're hosting a party. And then at the bottom, I talk about the Make Your Everyday Better opportunity brochure. And I just say, if this is something that you think you might be interested in, let's chat. I would love to help you get started with Pampered Chef. So already right away, I have, you could argue 2 asks. I call it 1, but I have 1 ask right away when they open their packet. And that's something that, like, I don't have to say anything. And it's a different way of doing it. And sometimes when we read something like that, it's a little bit less intimidating. And it just kind of gets their mind going, so that when I call them, which will happen later on in the document, they're prepared for that conversation, and they might have already started thinking about it. But so after I send the host packet, what I do is I set up the party group, blah, blah, blah. And there's some tidbits in here, some things that you can use. But then this is what I do kind of 5 days before the party. And I'll put on my host packet too, text or call me when you get this. Some hosts will, some hosts won't. If they don't, then I reach out to them and I send them, good morning, I'm so excited to chat with you about your party today. Or maybe I haven't set it up yet, and I'll say, do you have some time to chat today about your party? So those are just a couple variations, but the goal is, before the party is starting, to get them on the phone, whether that means, setting it up via text, whether they reach out to you to set something up, or maybe they just call you and you have to all of a sudden go, oh, time to time to go, really quickly answer the phone and have this conversation with them. So what I say in my conversation, it varies, based on person to person, because it's a personal conversation. So I'm saying a few different things. I'm getting to know them. And just chit-chatting with them a little bit, but I'm hitting a few important points. So first of all, I explain why I'm doing a block party. And maybe you're not doing a block party, then you could maybe skip this step, and you could explain how the party is going to work. But I explain it and I don't make a big deal about it. Sometimes people are like, why are there all these hosts, blah, blah, blah. But I let them know that it is to increase engagement, yada, yada. And then I guess this should be number one, share how excited I am. And I tell them, kind of what it will take for them to be successful. And then I also ask them about their goals. So that's something that I'm going to add in here. Ask about goals. And that's an important piece too. I will just say, what do you want to get for free from your party? And that kind of helps me build that rapport with them and start that conversation. And it also sets me up to ask them about the business, because if they say that they want something in the fast track rewards, I can throw that in there. If they say they want something in the new consultant kit, I can throw that in there. I can throw in the piece about the host special, kind of things like that. And then I also say, I challenge them to get 5 orders from people that aren't on Facebook if they're doing an online party. If it's a cooking party, I'll do the opposite, and I'll challenge them to get people who won't be there, or maybe somebody who can't come, or somebody who's out of state. So, just based on what kind of party you're doing. And then I ask them if they've had a chance to look at their group link. If I haven't sent it already, I will send it immediately after the call. And so the Facebook party link, as well as the host dashboard link, the host dashboard training video, and then the shopping URL for their friends. And so I kind of distinguish between those things so that they know which is which. But another thing that you can do while you're on the call is you can have the host coaching tab pulled up in Consultants Corner. If you don't know where that is, it is just when you click on the party, I kind of have this stuff small, just, if you want to read it. I'll post my host coaching document too, so you don't have to worry about taking too many notes. But when you click on the party, this host coaching tab is going to be right in the party in Consultants Corner, and it will kind of walk you through what to say. And then we want to be encouraging our hosts to invite their guests as well. So I start a group and I let the hosts know, this is what I'm going to be doing this week. I'm going to be sending you some messages, encouraging them to engage, inviting a lot of their friends to the party. I encourage them to post as well on their personal Facebook wall about the party and share the group. And then I'll have them do it again. And so I'll do that, the 4 days before, and then I'll do it again 3 days before. I might check in and say, hey, did you do this? If they haven't, I'll send them some words depending on the situation. So in my document, I have, if they have not invited enough friends yet to the party, this is what I send them, and then if they have enough friends in the party. And so usually when I say like they have plenty of friends in the party, I mean a minimum of 50. So that is what I would consider plenty of friends when it's, 3 days before the party, 2 days before the party. There's probably still going to be some more people that are joining. And then I'll send them, something different, maybe something to encourage them to keep going, tell them that they're doing a great job, that kind of thing. And 2 days before the party, we do want to keep focusing on getting members in the group. So some things that you can do besides, sending these messages, I send a base message, and then again, based on if they have plenty of friends, and then if they don't have enough people, I will send the corresponding B and C or I'll send the A along with the base message. But just kind of reinforcing that, in order to have a good party, we need to have those members in the group. And again, reiterating with your guests, you should have a minimum of 30 of your friends in the group if you want your party to qualify. I always say, I'd like to see you have 50, and kind of coaching them through that and telling them why that's important. But something that you can do besides send these messages is changing the group cover photo in the Facebook group. And the reason that is something that is important is when you're changing the cover photo in the Facebook group, everybody who was invited to the party is going to get that notification versus maybe just the people in the group who are going to see your message on their newsfeed or your post on their newsfeed. Yes, that's something that I recently came to learn, and it's worked. It's worked. And so I have actually a party right now that is going, and it does not have the members it needs to have. There's 3 hosts, there's 50 members, and I'm like, this is not great. And so I'm changing that cover photo every day, like twice a day, trying to get people into that group. And it's worked. There's been, I think, 10 people since I changed it last night that have joined again. But, when you have hosts that aren't inviting, sometimes you have to take things into your own hands.
That's a great idea, Bailey. I haven't thought about that because I always have those people that you can see that are members that are invited, but they haven't joined yet.
Yeah. And so do you know how to send reminders?
Yeah, I'm still working on how to do that and everything. So,
okay. There's a way that you can streamline it too. There's an extension. It's actually right up here on Google Chrome. There's this little extension button that will do it for you. And I can post the link for that as well.
Okay.
But yes, so that was my next thing was sending reminders. And you can have your host do this. Maybe if you don't have Google Chrome, or maybe you just want to have them do it. You can just send them a reminder and send them a graphic on how to send those reminders. So what I'll do is I'll take like a screenshot and show people where to go with, like, I'll draw arrows kind of on my phone and kind of show them where to go. And that's, some of the pre-party work that I do. And then, one day is still going to be just about making sure that there's enough members in the group. And, letting them know, make sure you're commenting on things, being engaged, getting them prepped for the party to actually start. And then there's some messages that you can send to them. And then once the party starts, it's really just building relationships and engaging guests kind of the whole way through. So, having them do a welcome post right away is really fun. Sending them something, or maybe challenging them to do it themselves. That's something that I found that my hosts sometimes like, is they'll, I'll say, do you need something to post? Or do you think that you feel comfortable welcoming your guests? You can use a GIF or GIF, whatever you call it. And then, day 2, same thing, engaging the host. And once the host is engaged, that's in turn going to engage the guests. And just sharing with them some of your favorite graphics to post. Maybe throwing an ask in there if you're feeling brave, your second or third ask. Because we have the first one that's in the packet, and then the second one in the call. So this would probably be, the third ask. Maybe the third ask is day 3 for you, helping the host reach their rewards goal, and letting them know that when they're hitting those rewards, they can start using that kit credit. Maybe just sending them a message of encouragement that says, hey, your party is doing great. Your friends are super amped about Pampered Chef. Have you ever thought about doing this? And I mean, you probably already asked, have they ever thought about doing this? But saying, you're hired, or you'd be great at this, something that's really no pressure, and just continuing to engage your host and your guests in the party as we go. And so this is kind of, the purpose of the host coaching document. Another thing that I like to do that you'll see reflected in my document is I like to explain to my hosts why I'm having them do some of the things that I'm having them do. And what I've found is when I'm being open and honest and upfront with my hosts about why I'm having them do these things, they're more likely to go and do that, and say, you know, yes, I will post in the party, or they'll be more likely to send messages to their friends because they understand why, rather than just, you know, follow my tips because you're going to have a good party if you follow my tips. So I try to be as open and as transparent as I possibly can. And I let them know too, usually right out of the gates, that when they're posting in the party, their friends are going to see those posts more often because it's coming from them. And, you know, I'm not friends with your friends usually. I mean, I will be, you know, with some of them after the party, but right out of the gates, I'm not friends with your friends. They're going to see an invite to this party and they're going to get notified when you post in the group. So that's why we do things like welcome posts, blah, 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 because that will actually show up in the news feed rather than just in the group. And so if it's in the news feed, then it will bring them back and kind of give them that reminder and prompt them to go shopping, and things like that. So do you have any questions? I know I kind of like blabbed through that really quickly, so I do want to be mindful and make sure that I'm giving you a chance to ask any questions if you have them.
I think I need to go in and change my picture on my party, so maybe I can get some more people on the block party I have going on right now. And I hadn't thought about make some of that I've been having the host do, but telling them to post things themselves, because then their friends will see it more than if I'm doing it for them. So
Yeah.
that's very great tips there, Bailey. I will work on those.
Awesome. That makes me happy. I'm glad that I can be of some help.
Yeah, and those are really good tips. And that's something I think, as being a new consultant here within the last like 6 weeks, those are things like I haven't learned yet. So now it's like, oh, these are little tips of the trade, you know, to learn and to do to help promote my business. So
Definitely. But yeah. And I mean, one thing that I love too is, you know, most hosts, and I guess the reason that we have you ask your host 5 times is that most hosts, or most consultants, excuse me, we're a host at some point. And so, you know, being able to ask them a few different times, it could feel like a lot, but when we're asked to commit to something that we don't know enough about, it is sometimes scary. And so that's kind of the idea behind asking 5 times is, you know, asking them and then letting them know little tidbits. Another thing that I found helpful is sharing with them that, you know, it might look like I'm posting in the party a lot, but I'm using a posting service. You know, I'm using Visly, and I'm really just like scheduling your party and then coming back and checking on the comments and making sure that I'm responding to guest questions. You know, how do you feel about that? You know, does that change your mind about how much time you have for it, and that kind of thing?
yeah, I started using Visly with too, and been still playing around with it, but I'm really starting to like it because, you know, it's posting things, and I've always been stalking Facebook and be like, oh, I got to do this, or I got to enter this because I didn't have something in there. So it's great now, like I can do things and not be like, oh, I got to make a post, you know. So
Definitely. Awesome. And just, you know, yeah, not being afraid. I mean, that's the ticket for me too, is, you know, removing that fear of rejection. I always talk about with my team too, you know, having that fear of rejection and taking that fear and going, whew, because it really doesn't matter. You know, I have something to offer. If you don't want it, that's fine. Carrie will call it dessert, offering dessert. Do you get mad at the waitress when they offer you dessert when you go out to eat? No. You might tell them no, but you're not mad at them, and you don't think anything less of them for offering you that. So that's something that I kind of struggled with and have knock on wood, been able to kind of brush off a little bit and just go, you know, it really doesn't matter. Like, they're not going to think I'm crazy for asking them to start the business. And it really does make all the difference when you can remove your fears and kind of change some of your beliefs. So.
Good.
All right. So I want to get wrapped up here just to be mindful of the people who might be watching the recording, and just really quickly about our call to action. So what I'm going to want you to do is come to your weekly check-in meeting with your director. I don't know when that is. Sometimes, you know, maybe some of you will call your director right after this, or, you know, send them a message and talk about your parties, your bookings, and your recruit leads. And the reason that we want you to do this is because when you're chatting with your director, something might come up. You might not think that you have a question, but something might come up that, you know, I call a teaching moment, where I can say, oh, you know, here's an idea for you, and be able to chat with you a little bit about that. And I love those. I love those teaching moments. I love when my consultants, even in our chat, will bring up a question or, you know, ask something. It can be a teaching moment, even if it's just, you know, where do I find this? And then sometimes it can prompt something in your director that they're like, oh, I want to share this with you because it might help you. So that's kind of why we reinforce that check-in call and why it's so important. And then also just continuing your 10 to 30 contacts every day for booking and recruiting. Strive for 30, because if you strive for 30, you're going to hit the minimum 10 every time. So that's what I always say, you know, strive for as many as you can. Set your goals high, so that if you do fall short, you're still hitting, you know, a lower goal. You're still hitting that minimum. And then book 12 new parties from your current parties. That might be a stretch for some of you, but Lisa, how many, or Linda, how many parties do you have going on right now?
I have 3 parties going on right now, so.
Okay, so, you know, using that booking graphic that I showed you in here, that could be a good one to help you get 9 of those parties. If you send that to your hosts and just say, hey guys, did you know? And so there's 9 of your 12 parties, right? And then see if you can find 3 more. And then the next, number 3, you know, take immediate action on implementing some of the things that we talked about today. So writing some affirmations and reading them aloud every day, twice a day. You know, I am a director. Everybody wants to join my team. I have all the bookings that I want. Or one that Jessica, my sister director, says that I love when she says this one. All of the bookings that I want are on their way to me. Isn't that just a beautiful thing?
It is awesome.
All of the bookings that I want are on their way to me already. And then making sure that you're asking your host 5 times. Use the booking challenge in your parties that I'm going to share with you, that graphic, and just, you know, challenging your host to do that. Create an online guest survey for your parties if you haven't done that before. I use Google Forms. That's something that you might see in my host coaching document as well. And I do Google Forms as a way to do a raffle instead of the prize points. That's just something that I do. And then keep adding names to your list of contacts. You know, your hot list for recruiting, your follow-up list, hot list for bookings too. We don't want to forget about our bookings. But yeah. So that's what we're doing. And then I will post that call to action as well. So I'll have a few things to post for you guys. I'll have to go back and make some notes, make sure I get everything up there. And if I forget something, if you're watching this recording and there's something that I said I would post and I didn't, please tag me or send me a message and say, Bailey, you forgot this, because I'm only human and sometimes I forget those things too. But I'll try to remember everything. I know I said I'd post the Google extension, my host coaching document, some of those graphics and things like that as well. So Awesome. Well, I hope you guys.
Awesome. Yay.
So I hope you have a wonderful day, and then I will post all of those things here when I post the recording. But have a good one, guys.